Today I'm excited to announce the integration with the ElectroNumeric's RaceClock. This is probably one of the most widely used LED clocks in race timing, so a lot of my users already have it, so they'll be happy to see this integration. First, let's cover the clock itself, to kind of show you which model they sent and some of the highlights of it. So this is the double-sided 6-inch display. It has a keypad at the end with the power switch here, built-in battery. So the built-in battery will keep the clock powered on for up to 10 hours. So which, most every race you ever need to time, you just set it up, turn it on, and does this thing. And so a typical way that you would set it up. Now, by the way, if you need more than 10 hours, there is a power cord that's wrapped around underneath the bottom there, so you can unwrap it, plug it in, and get through any race you need. So like I said, these guys, ElectroNumerics, super great to work with. They sent me this clock to be able to do the integration. So I'm excited about working with those guys. But let's cover the clock itself. So you turn it on by flipping the switch. When you do that, it goes into the clear screen. Now, before the integration, what you would do is you would go to the starting line, make your announcements. Often I'll bring my phone or a stopwatch of some kind. Usually I use my phone, and I start the clock or start the race there. Then I walk over to my finish line computer. Then I'll start the race in the software, and then sync up the clock. And then if we use a LED board, then of course that's something extra I got to set up and try to get the times in sync. Typically in the past, I've always used, now we do have LED boards, but I didn't have this particular brand. And so a lot of races I would use TVs because they're inexpensive. I can show anything I want, not just a clock, but it's a lot of hassle when it comes to, if you, like I use a HDMI splitter, that way I've got the finish line clock that's facing the runners coming in and the clock facing the TV and camcorder all synced up. But that's its own headache. A lot of people are not comfortable, extending the desktop from the laptop to the TV and getting all that squared away. The software makes it easy, but it's still extra stuff you got to worry about. Whereas an LED clock like this is simple. You just turn it on, start it up. So if before the integration, what you would do is you would, let's say your stopwatch is at 4 minutes and 30 seconds, and you'd typically set it to like 5 minutes, and then the moment your stopwatch hits 5 minutes, you hit count up, and then it just counts up from there. So that's the way most timers probably do it. In this case, I'm going to switch with the integration. You can just switch the mode. So we're going to clear it, and I'm going to hit the button 7 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I may have missed it there. 6, 7, and you're going to go to RD mode. So that's a remote display. And then your clock, if it's got the remote display port, which is an optional thing on the clocks, so you make sure that if you buy one, you get that port. You'll plug in the remote display cable. You're going to take a USB to serial adapter, plug it into that cord, plug the USB port into the laptop. Okay. So now this is all ready to go. So it's in remote display mode. You've got it hooked up to your laptop. And what's nice is the software will automatically connect to it and use it. Let me go ahead and show you this way. So we're going to pull 2 races in the clock screen. It's a 5K and 10K. Looks like I got 4 races going on that day, but I'm going to pull just the 2 in. And so the moment you click on continue to pull the clock up, now you'll see that the clock goes from clear to 0, which matches our clock here, if it auto-discovers at the moment the clock screen comes up. So if your clock is on and you've got it connected before you pull the clock screen up, the software should automatically find it and use it. Now if it doesn't, or if you plug in the clock after you've already got the clock screen up, then on your public display tab, which is here, let me see, there we go. Then there's the ElectroNumerics tab here, and you can click the refresh button there. Now this will simply refresh the list of COM ports that the software shows that may be in use. And so you can cycle through between these ports, and when you pick the port that actually has the clock connected to it, because the clock does not send any information to the computer to let me know, hey, this is the port I'm using. And I can't send a command to the clock to ask it, hey, are you here, and get a response back. So in this case, what I do is I simply say, well, the highest COM port in use, let's try that, and let's set that as the default. If that's not the case, or if you hook up the clock after the clock screen's already up, you'll click on the refresh button, and if you're not sure which one, I added the test button here. So if I click on test, I want you to watch what happens with the clock. So I go through every digit and I simply cycle through them, make sure every light is lit up. That way you can kind of make sure all the lights are working and everything's good. So if you hit the test button and that works, then that tells you that's the COM port that I need. And so the way this works is you're going to time the RaceClock normal without having to think about the clock anymore. You're going to go on your mark, get set, go. And now the software and the clock are perfectly in sync. No having to run over and set this up separately. So if your clock becomes disconnected while you're timing, of course the clock in the software keeps going, but the LED clock is no longer receiving communication from the laptop. So just connect it back again. And then you got a couple options here. You could drop down this box and pick number 4 again, or you can hit the refresh button, which I'm going to click on now. And so if we click on refresh, then you'll see that it reconnects to the clock. When you're done timing, now I'll show you one thing. Let's go ahead and assume that we've got multiple races going on at the same time. So here I'm going to just show you an example. I'm going to bump the minutes of this race up. Let's say the 10K started before the 5K. So if I hit save, you'll see that it instantly updates the LED clock. Now if I'm timing, like say a 25K and a 50K, typically at a certain point in the race, all the 25K people have come in, and I want the clock to primarily show the 50K, so I can just simply highlight it. So if I click on the 50K race, well then there's that clock. So anyways, basically what's going on is whatever you see here at the top of the screen is what you see on the LED board. So that is the integration, works great. The longer I use this clock, the more I like it. It's going to be hard to go back to TVs. This is one of those things that obviously this is more expensive than like a 32-inch TV, but there's definitely a premium for convenience. And the TVs are great. They can show quite a few things, but it's hard to beat that kind of display and direct sunlight. The LED board, you can easily see it no matter what the conditions are. And it's very compact. And again, the 10-hour battery is great. And so I'm probably going to get some of these for our timing crews. And so the software does work with another LED board. I didn't receive a clock from them, so it's got the ability to show finisher name and time the moment they finish. But it's a little more pricey. And because I didn't receive one of those myself, I'm going to have to trust this clock over the other one for now, because I personally have had my hands on this one and I know it works well. I really like the build quality, and so right now when schools want us to, because a lot of schools want to be able to write one check and be done with it, and so of all the LED boards available, I'm going to probably recommend this one first. So but yeah, it works great. Very happy with it, and thank you guys at ElectroNumeric for sending me the clock, and hopefully I know there's lots of my users that have this clock, so hopefully they can take advantage of this integration.